Whether or not you like LeBron James, you got to admit that he's one of the best basketball players of all time. And he's also one of the greatest athletes of all time. With that being said, he's also little bit of a idiotic, emotional tweeter. He says a lot of stupid things. So on the court, he has an incredibly high IQ. Like, I love watching some of the plays he makes, some of the passes he makes. Defensively as well, he does some awesome things. But off the court, he's kind of idiotic and emotional when it comes to things that he says on Twitter. As dumb as he is, right now, sitting there, out indefinitely, so he's can't play for the Lakers for a while. He's out indefinitely as he follows safety protocols for COVID-19. He has got to be sitting at home and trying to do all the mental gymnastics to make it make sense in his head. I mean, it's already in everyone in the NBA. There's a lot of mental gymnastics going on. They're playing basketball, out of breath, in each other's faces, playing basketball, no masks on. And then the second they come off the court to sit on the bench, they have to cover up. That alone has really got to make people kind of like, what the hell is going on? We're just following orders pretty much for the sake of following orders. But looking at these safety protocols now, you really have to wonder. I mean, you look at this with the Lakers, you look at the Ottawa Senators, 100% vaccinated, 40% of them were infected now. In Petawawa, our armed forces, hundreds of them are in quarantine because some of them got infected, 100% fully jabbed, and yet they all have to do this. And I just wonder, all of these people who are fully jabbed and then they still have to go into quarantine and do all these measures, what is going through their heads right now in order to make it make sense? How can you make it work? What kind of mental gymnastics is going on? And I might miss something. I'm just kind of going off the cuff. I might miss something. Put it in the comments below. Let me know what the hell you're thinking, because I can't make it work. There's only one thing I can come out with, and we'll get to that. But as far as making it make sense, I just can't do it. So we can really look at three different things, right? We got symptoms, okay? Symptoms, does it lower the symptoms? Does it lower infection? Does it lower transmission? So does it lower the symptoms, yes or no? Yes or no? Pick one. If we say yes, it lowers the symptoms, then shouldn't everyone who's jabbed, it shouldn't matter if someone who's infected comes around them because it lowers the symptoms, and the symptoms are already, how much of the population is asymptomatic, shows no symptoms when they are infected? A huge percent of the population is not showing symptoms, let alone having severe symptoms, right? The survival rate of people under the age of 40, 50, all the way down. What is it? For all of them, it's over 99%, 99.7% for some of them as you get younger. Obviously, that number jumps up. We're talking children, 99.999% for some of the age groups. So does it lower the symptoms? Yes or no? Because if it lowers the symptoms, well, then you should have nothing to worry about. Nothing to worry about if it lowers the symptoms. If it doesn't lower the symptoms, okay, it doesn't lower the symptoms, then you're not taking it to protect yourself, okay? But yes or no, just why are you taking it? You have to pick one of these, okay? You have to choose one, make it make sense. And when you choose yes or no, or if you're going to say something in between, when you choose one, stick to that conclusion for the rest of your thought processes. That's what critical thinking is. It's not whimsically changing your answers as the questions or the debate goes on. So, does it lower the symptoms, yes or no? Does it lower transmission? Does it lower the rate of transmission? Yes or no? Yes, if it lowers the rate of transmission, well then a person who is jabbed can't transmit it. So then why would they have to be quarantined, right? Why would a person who is infected need to be quarantined if it lowers the rate of transmission? Does that not make sense? That's where we'd have to go if we say yes. If it doesn't lower the rate of transmission, then you can't say that people who are getting the jab are protecting other people. You can't use that argument, can you? Because it doesn't lower the rate of transmission. So then how does that help with, say, vaccine passports or anything like that? Same thing with infections. Does it stop infection? Yes or no? If it stops infection, well then if you take it, you can't get infected. Boom. That would be great. Then no one would have to quarantine and everyone who's gotten the jab would be completely safe from a 99.7%, survival rate virus. And then people who don't want it would have to deal with their own 99.7% or whatever the particular demographic gives them as far as a survival rate goes. And then we could just say, okay, at that point, you know, why don't the people who are unjabbed, that just means that they're doing their own risk assessment and they're not afraid of getting sick because, you know, they decided they didn't want to get the jab and they'll take their own risk, you know, of getting infected. And then the people who decide to take the jab, well, you should feel better because you have confidence that it works. And if you don't have confidence that it works, then why are you taking it in the first place? And why are you expecting other people to take it? I don't know how to make this make sense to everyone. At what point are people going to look at this and say, okay, there's a ton of contradictions in how I'm thinking? Am I speaking too fast, or maybe I'm jumping through ideas? I don't know. Maybe I am. Let me know if I am. I don't think I am. The only thing that I can think of when I'm trying to make it make sense is that this isn't about a virus. It's that simple. It's not about a virus. It's about control. It is about implementing a device which grants people permission for freedom, which is a contradiction. Freedom should have nothing to do with permission, but that's what's being introduced. Is a device that's going to be separating people, segregating people, allowing them to do certain things. Do you want to leave your home? Do you want to go to work? Are you allowed to work? Do you want to get health services? Do you want your kids to go to school? Do you want your kids to play sports? Maybe you can only go into these stores or those stores because they're not deemed essential and you're only allowed essential goods. Or actually, in some places of the world, they can't even get essential goods right now. Think about that. That's pretty scary. People who test positive and they are unjabbed, they're being dragged to camps, isolation, quarantine facilities in some parts of the world. Yes, it's true. Look it up. It's in Australia right now. At what point are we going to look at this and say, well, does this jab actually make a difference? Does it? Yes or no? Yes or no? Does it lower the symptoms? Yes or no? Does it stop transmission? What does the science say? Yes or no? Does it stop infections? Yes or no? Should people be allowed to do their own risk assessments? Should people have bodily autonomy? And that's a whole other can of worms, because if we're talking about, you know, your own autonomy over your own body, if we allow this to be crossed, if we allow people to say, hey, other people, government bodies, have the right to decide what you can put in your body, and they can mandate this on you. They can kick you out of society and ostracize you, segregate you if you don't do certain things. Well, you're putting the mechanism in place. You're allowing them to, maybe in the future they'll say, this person has had a history of depression. If this person doesn't take their SSRIs, they can't go out. This person is obese. If this person remains obese for another month, maybe we won't give them health services, right? No health services for you. Or maybe this person smokes cigarettes, so we don't allow them to do something. You have to exercise if you want to get your health services. Well, it's not a bad idea, and some people might think that actually kind of works, trying to incentivize people to do things. But that's not how freedom works. That's not how choices work. That's not what volition is about. Volition is about letting people exercise their own independent thinking, their individuality, to make choices for themselves voluntarily, right? Voluntarism is a very important idea. And if we're allowing something that is coming into society that will control people, we really have to be on the lookout for that. So when we let these passports in, does it make sense with the way the jab is working? Does that make sense? Isn't it annoying? Like, I've already said vaccine a couple times, but isn't it crazy that I have to self-censor myself? That's crazy. I know it has nothing to do with what I'm saying right now, but I just always catch myself saying jab, and it's just like I have to self-censor myself because this world is going nuts. That should scare everybody. It frightens me. It really frightens me. But how do we make this make sense? What am I missing, folks? What is it that I'm missing as far as, does this stop the symptoms? What does this do to the symptoms? What does this do to infection? What does this do to transmission? And why are we pushing this on children? How is everyone doing the risk assessment? This is about control. This isn't about a virus. And the second you guys start looking at at this with that lens, a lot of other things are going to start standing out to you.